All right, everybody, let's talk some Houston Texans. Let's just have a good time here. If you're new to this channel, this is not our first channel. We also have another channel, Sports Talk Detroit. Don't want to kill you with the volume there on the mic. But we love NFL teams that are ignored by the national media. I truly feel like the Texans fall into one of those. They're starting to get some credit when you have a good quarterback like they do and stuff like that. You naturally are going to, but Dallas seems to own the state of Texas and the national media. You'll never hear us talk about the Cowboys on this channel. No way. And one thing I learned as we were going back, and I think back to the couple years that we've been doing Sports Talk Detroit, and we've been doing this channel for almost a year now too. One of the things I think about is I always look at my team, and I used to look at it almost like in a vacuum. What we did in the offseason, what we did in the NFL draft. All right, we got better. Did we get better? And I almost would forget other teams get better too, especially, and that's important, especially in the division. So I was looking at that, and I'm just like, okay, well, how did the Texans do in their offseason? But also, what did the other teams do in the offseason? So let's look at your division. Let's look at these different teams, and Battle Red Blog did a great job. They actually pulled from PFF, so I'm going to pull from Battle Red Blog, who pulled from PFF, and now you're going to get it here. So we're going to talk about all that and kind of see where you guys held up and what the other teams did, because I think it's important because you see these teams 2 times every year, and these are the teams that you're competing with. You want to win the division. You want a home playoff game. It's all very important. So let's check out and see what everybody did. Before we do that, make sure if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. We're making a push here. We always want more people subscribe just so you know when we're putting videos out. You don't have to question it anymore. All right, so the first team is the Colts. All right, now, the Colts aren't bad. I think they are a very well-coached team. I think Shane Steichen is a phenomenal coach. I think that he brought over, and you started to see it in the back half of the year with the Eagles, he was a lot of the reason for the success there. So they extended Jack Anderson, Zaire Franklin, a linebacker, with a pretty good deal there. They re-signed Pittman, gave him a bunch of money, as wide receivers tend to get. They re-signed edge Tyquan Lewis. That's a whatever. They re-signed their key interior player, Grover Stewart. 3 years, $39 million at $13 million a pop. Not terrible. Re-signed a punter, Kenny Moore. They brought back for $10 million a year. They had to spend money on a lot of people. All right. They brought in Roquan Davis. At 2 years, $14 million. They brought back Harrison. They brought back Avery. They signed Flacco to be a backup. Really smart, by the way. All right. We saw Flacco behind Deshaun Watson in Cleveland last year. That's another team we talk about on this channel. That's a smart signing. One as a mentor for the young rookie, now to be second year Anthony Richardson, but also, honestly, he's injury prone. All right. And they re-signed Trey Sermon. So with all this, PFF gives them a grade of B-. I think the lowest grade out there was like a C or a C+ to the Dallas Cowboys. So this isn't good. And I think the reason that it's not good is you want to extend your own players, but you take a middling team and then they continue to be a middling team. And now they're spending a ton of money in these places. So they did a good job, I think, of not getting it all before they have to pay Richardson in 4 years. But overall, it just feels blah. All right, now let's talk about the Glitter Kitties, the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's hilarious that they say that. They released Foley Fatukasi. Hey, where did he go? Anybody know? All right, I don't know. All right, and then they released cornerback Darius Williams. Hopefully you guys understand sarcasm as I talk about this. And Jenkins, they franchise tag Josh Allen, but have yet to sign him to a large extension. They gave Ezra Cleveland almost $10 million a year. And then there was a lot of okays. All right, so they give Eric Armstead $51 million. That's interesting. All right, for a guy who's not a stud, that's a lot of money. They give Gabe Davis $39 million for a guy who has shown he's not a good number 2 receiver for the Bills. You're paying him number 2 wide receiver money. That was interesting. And then the rest is just kind of, okay, Devin Duvernay, 2 years, $8.5 million. I'll never understand the re-signing of middling wide receivers at numbers that are so much larger than drafting a rookie wide receiver. I just struggle to understand it. Overall, nothing great. In this, they said they may be able to retain Calvin Ridley. Nope, he's gone. And we understood why they didn't want to pay him, right? Like, if you're saying Gabe Davis for $13 million or Calvin Ridley for $24 million, I'd probably take Gabe Davis. Josh Allen's still there, but again, it's meh. And free agency grade for PFF, B-. All right, now what about the Titans? Titans were all over the place. Like, the Titans were all over the place. Like, so much of this didn't make sense. They bring in Tony Pollard. They give him 3 years at $8 million a year, and then you see Derrick Henry get less for the Ravens. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. You talk about bringing in Chidobe Awuzie, an older corner, for 3 years. You give Kenneth Murray Jr., a linebacker from the Chargers, 2 years, $15.5 million. Like, there are all the... You just back up the Brinks truck for Calvin Ridley. So he stays within the division, which isn't a bad thing. Now he's just overpaid. All right. So there's nothing crazy that was done here. They're trying to build a little bit. You give Cushenberry $12.5 million a year, making him one of the higher paid centers. I don't know if he fully deserves that. But once again, you get a PFF grade of B. The reason that I like theirs a little bit more is they at least got some guys. Cushenberry. Right? You talk about Murray could be a pretty solid player at that price. Calvin Ridley could be a stud. So they have guys with the upside. But then let's move to our team. So you see what the other three did, right? I'll roll back up. It's not a lot, right? They got stuff. They brought back okay player. So the biggest splash was Calvin Ridley, and he was just moving teams. You have guys like Eric Armstead. You have these middle-of-the-road stars, not even stars. They're just role players signing for large amounts of money. Now let's go to the Texans, and let's see how they spent their money. All right, middle-of-the-road guy, but probably a top 10 tight end in this league, Dalton Schultz. You give him $12 million a year. You re-sign a great kicker. Good for you. All right, you spend very small amounts of money on Boyd, Murray, King, Davis. All right, Foley Fatukasi, it just came out that he has a 1-year deal worth $5.25 million. It's going to cost $3-ish million this year, and then there's going to be $2 million on a void year. That's at least according to Over the Cap. So not expensive for him. Okuda you bring in. Yeah, I don't want to pay him $5 million, but it's a 1-year deal. That's fine. Danico Autry, 2 years, $20 million. You're sticking to these smaller contracts. So you have what all the other teams have, which are these Danico Autry, you're paying $10 million a year. Azeez Al-Shaair, you're paying $11 million a year. You're paying some guys some money, but then you also have, we got Joe Mixon. We got the best edge rusher in free agency. And by the way, for only 2 years. We're not committing to him for 5 years or 4 years when he's starting to wear out. We're putting him opposite Will Anderson Jr. Everything we're doing actually makes sense. It makes sense. That's weird. It's not just random people. Noah Brown did a great job for you last year when he wasn't hurt. Let's bring him back. All right. Let's bring in Delshon Phillips at linebacker. Let's get some experience in there. Free agency grade A. So here's what I wanted to do in this video. I wanted to at least give an understanding and a reassurance that things are going well for the Texans this offseason. I know people were worried for a while. Now you have talent. And the power rankings are coming out, and you're in the top 10 before the draft, right? You're starting to see these things, that this is a team that is expected to be good. This is a team that will likely be favored to win the division. And they did it because they were the best team last year, unexpectedly, and now they went out, they spent, and they're going to be the best team this year because they went out and did the right things. They went out and did the right things. All right. Hopefully that helps you a little bit, even if you just didn't know what the other teams were doing. So thought you'd like it. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.